So I just finished the docu-series about America's Next Top Model, and there have been other documentaries about this show, but this one actually features Tyra Banks, former supermodel who was the host, creator of the show. So you actually get to hear from her about some of the decisions that were made. For people who are not aware, this is Tyra Banks, former supermodel. During that time, back in that day, models and supermodel was still like a big thing. This is before the era of the influencer on Instagram and Facebook, etc. Right? Tyra Banks was a supermodel, and she decided to come up with a reality show where it was models meet the real world. So basically, she would pick women to become America's Next Top Model. It was a modeling contest. And if you won, then you got this contract with CoverGirl, and you apparently were assigned to, I think it was elite models at that point in time, but you were supposed to be all set. And what she did with this show is that I said it was kind of a mixture of that in the real world because it was a reality show. So it wasn't just the competitions. The models all lived like in an apartment together. And so you saw everything that happened outside of the competitions as well. There are two incidents in particular that we're going to talk about on this show tonight that Tyra Banks needs to take accountability for. You know, over the years, some of the girls that were contestants on this show, they came forward and spoke out. Many of these girls that won on this show found out they didn't actually have a contract with CoverGirl after the show was over. Many of them found out that their portfolio that they built while they were on this show was not usable in the real world because the modeling agencies didn't take them seriously because they came from a reality show. So a lot of these girls ended up going into acting, other forms of entertainment. There's a couple of them that did get into modeling, but most of them, even the winners, did not, for the reasons that I just told you. At that time, this show was popular, very popular. I didn't see all of the seasons, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second, because it went in a direction that I didn't feel comfortable with. But the first season I did really like. I thought this was really, really cool, kind of great, you know? What people have to understand is that through those 3 episodes of this docuseries, what pissed me off was that Tyra Banks was not willing to take full accountability, in particular for 2 incidents that I think she should have taken accountability for that happened during the filming of this show. And I'm going to tell you how I feel this all connects back to Naomi Campbell, the modeling industry, and this trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein, because Naomi Campbell was buddy-buddy with Jeffrey Epstein, as I'm going to show you. This show, after the first season, it seemed like they were willing to do anything to get more ratings. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching women that are like a size 2 get told to their face that they're fat, that they're ugly, and that got worse and worse as the seasons went on, right? But that's even the mild part, right? We'll go to the next picture here. This show consisted of these 3 gentlemen here. You had Nigel Barker, who was a photographer, also a former model, and you had the J's. You had Miss J here, who taught the girls how to walk on the runway. Miss J was working it, honey. And you had a J here, who was also a makeup artist, also on the creative side. He was helping the girls like figure out how to pose for some of these photo shoots. First and foremost, Miss J right here in the middle had a stroke. And I found it very interesting that during this docuseries, like these were people that Tyra said were her closest friends and she was very close to. Miss J said, till this day, Tyra Banks has not visited him. Tyra pretty much cut off contact with them after the show was done. This is what they said. And she's on the docuseries too. Now, there were 2 incidents that should give you pause. One of them involves an incident of sexual assault. And what bothered me was that at the time, watching the show, it was framed that Shandi, who was a contestant, cheated on her boyfriend. She got drunk. They were hanging out with these guys, and she cheated on her boyfriend. Shandi was made to look very bad during this part of the show. For those who are not aware, this is Shandi right here with the blonde hair. I'm going to tell you what they did to this girl. And so Shandi got drunk, hooked up with this guy, and then called her boyfriend and told him, again, it's a reality show, so you're seeing all of this. Her boyfriend yelled at her, rightfully so. He was pissed. She was very much embarrassed. Shandi is on the docuseries, and for the very first time, I find out that apparently it wasn't that Shandi cheated on her boyfriend. Shandi, in her own words, said that she was blacked out and she woke up with the guy on top of her. And what makes it worse is that she said they continued to film. Let's get into it right here, because this is the part I think that people should be the most angry about. Cycle 2, Shandi Sullivan has sex during production when she's blackout drunk. So listen to this. A lot of people are talking about this right now. So they were in Milan during this part here. Let's go down to this part. The second episode picks up from there with Sullivan sharing her story. I think I had 2 bottles of wine by myself, she says. I had not eaten all day. She was in a hot tub with one of the guys and they begin kissing. This is the part that floored me. I was blacked out for a lot of it. I didn't even feel sex happening. I just knew it was happening. And then I passed out. She woke up the next morning and cried hysterically. The event became a storyline in a way that was shocking in 2026. The show framed it as if she had cheated on her longtime boyfriend, Eric, and Banks even had a sisterly talk with her on camera about the perils of infidelity in relationships. Shandi wanted to go home and she wanted to talk to Eric on the phone. Production filmed her calling him. This is what I was telling you about. I did the worst possible thing I could do. That was her on the phone. What unfolded is an indelible memory to anyone who saw this scene. You had sex. Eric screeched at her, "You stupid bitch." Sullivan says there were only 2 members of the crew with her during the scene, a camera operator and a sound guy. We're really, really sorry that we had to film that. They just knew this isn't right. Why are we filming this? But let's go back. But they didn't have to film it. And what really floored me is if you see that episode, it's not presented the way that Shandi tells the story. It was presented that she just got drunk and she ended up having sex with this guy. So for the first time, we are hearing that she was inebriated, that she was blacked out. And Shandi said they filmed it. They filmed all of it. No intervention whatsoever. Again, we got to start asking questions here about the modeling industry. So that really takes me back, sets me aback, because Tyra is in this docuseries and Tyra's response is, well, during the time, yeah, we had the ratings, and we had to do these things. And yeah, it was a different time. What bothered me is that she was not willing to take accountability. No way that should have been filmed. If anything, she's blacked out. Why didn't anybody step in to protect this girl? The second incident was Kenya. This was one of the other contestants. Kenya, and I'm showing you this picture because it was this photo shoot that was the problem. She is also in the docuseries. Kenya said to the photographers at the time that this guy right here was hitting on her even before they started doing the photo shoot, and that he was touching her inappropriately and that he was moaning next to her. Kenya was made to look like the bad person on the show. Instead of saying, okay, listen, stop production. You cannot do this against her will. Jay and the judges later on, they pointed their finger at Kenya when she did the right thing. She stopped during the photo shoot and she said, wait a minute. She said, I am not comfortable. He is touching me inappropriately, which was not a part of the assignment. They were supposed to be dancing. And he is moaning next to me. I don't feel comfortable. This is what she said. They told her she got to learn how to push through it. Tyra still was not willing to take accountability, even today. You can see one part here. This girl talked about, I'm telling you guys, everybody is talking about this. Now this is coming out. I just want to show you this. You see this comment here? There has to be a way that you can handle it. That was the comment from Nigel to Kenya when she complained about what he was doing. Let me come back out because I have to play this part. Don't want to get copyright, and then come back in when she responds. You know, you have to be able to be in control. I couldn't, like, honestly, I was baffled, you guys. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is why I couldn't finish watching the other seasons of that show, because even then, I don't care. Tyra can say it was a different time. It was the early 2000s. Even then, I knew that was wrong. And instead of the judges saying, yeah, you should not be treated that way, you should not be put in an uncomfortable position, they blamed her. So listen to what this girl says here.
In control.
Like, why tell the model she has to find a way to handle it? You guys need to provide a comfortable and safe environment to these models. That's your responsibility.
So yeah, she had a good point. And Janice Dickinson there at the end was one of the worst ones. Miss Janice Dickinson, who was very nasty to a lot of these girls, telling them she's fat, she's ugly, she's this, she's that. Very nasty. There was a girl on the show who was a contestant that had an eating disorder. And I am literally at home. And yeah, you know, the modeling industry considers certain sizes to be overweight and some, you know, we get it. But I'm at home and I'm watching a girl who's a stick figure, and I am watching Janice Dickinson, and Tyra adds into some of this too, tell these girls that they are fat. Some people were saying that we should give Tyra more grace. Some people are saying, well, she was trying to make it in reality TV at that time. As a woman, she had a lot of pressure on her. Okay, so that means you should just film a sexual assault? That means that you're willing to do just anything for ratings? And I wondered what happened to a lot of these girls, like over the years, because I ain't see them on no covers of the magazines. So I was wondering, like, okay, I thought they had a contract with CoverGirl. What's going on? You come to find out that wasn't the case for the majority of them. You find out how Tyra also treated her so-called friends, Nigel and the two J's. All of them speak out about it. And she wasn't willing to take responsibility. And that is what is bothering a lot of people. Her big excuse is it was a different time. Now, I will say this, during that time, during the early 2000s, skinny was the big thing. It was all about if you're skinny. Like even what you see now with strength training is really pushed, right? Like now it seems to be more popular for women to lift weights and all that type of stuff, or to have curves. During that time, skinny was everywhere and it was a big thing. And I get that. But I felt like the show took it to extremes. And I felt like every season became more and more extreme. And at the end of the day, I just felt like Tyra was really trying to look out for herself. One of the girls was just recently on News Nation I want you to hear what she had to say. I think this is Giselle.
What was it like to speak out 23 years after you were a contestant and in this way?
This has been so surreal for me. I never thought I would have this opportunity. Back in my time, we didn't have social media, so there was nowhere for us to let our voices be heard after we got off the show. So when I was approached for this, I was like, you know, a little apprehensive. Now with social media, people are probably just going to attack me. But I said, you know what, now is my time on a big platform like Netflix to share my side of the story. So it's been quite a wild ride. I've been up since 4 a.m. this morning. It's been nuts.
Some say the judges and Tyra Banks offered more excuses than real apologies for what happened in the show. Do you agree?
Oh my gosh. So I'm watching a live with Jay Manuel and Nigel Barker, and they're saying, you know, now's the time maybe for us to make amends. And I was like, okay, great. Let me tune into this documentary and let's see, you know, let's see this amends. Let's the apologies. Where is it? No, not one. Accountability, nowhere to be found. And I hate that word because I feel like it's overused. But no, I feel like it was just nothing but blah, blah, blah for them mostly. And we were just kind of like sprinkled in there.
In the program, you talk about something that is a common theme. You talk about your weight and comments about your weight. What happened?
Well, for me, I was the youngest girl on this show, right? And I was a ballet dancer. I was already modeling. So, you know, I felt that I was in great pristine shape and beautiful and confident and ready to be there. And I was supposed to be there. And so when it aired and I saw that Tyra was saying that I had a wide ass, I was like, well, what should I do? I don't even have any body percent fat here. Do you want me to like shave down my hip bones? And as you can see later in the seasons, you know, that might have been an option because they were removing people's teeth.
Yep. That's how extreme it got. They started removing people's teeth, and they would do things like, if you came in with a head full of hair, they would just shave all your hair off. Just like stuff like that. That was part of the whole makeover series, right? And some girls were traumatized. Like they didn't know what was going to happen when they got there for those things. But yeah, they were removing people's teeth. Anything for TV.
It's not easy talking about this and having to relive this, which does make me wonder real quick, if there was another cycle, if there was another season, what do you hope the producers would do differently?
Okay, but wait a minute. Is this really a thing? Because when she said that at the end of the documentary, I thought she was just being, you know, facetious, or it wasn't that literal. She's in her era of pivoting. But if this is true, I just don't see how it'll be successful because it was built off of all the, you know, controversy at a time where people accepted that and loved it. Now people would be in jail, I feel. So
well,
yes,
let's see if they do it. Let's see if they do it. Giselle Sampson, I really appreciate you taking the time. I wish we had a little bit more time, but you know, I hope everybody gets a chance to watch and see what was going on. But thank you. I appreciate it.
If you haven't had a chance to watch it, definitely check it out. ADR said, sounds like hazing. That's exactly what it felt like. But the way some of these women were treated was just, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. What can we do for TV, right? At the end of the docuseries, one of the things that she does say, Tyra, she says that she's got a new project coming. Now, from what I understand, I think she lives in Australia now or whatever. I sincerely hope she's not trying to do some new model show again, where all of a sudden now she appreciates curves and hips and all that type of stuff. I don't even want to see it. Like, I don't want to see it. Like, I really did expect after all these years, she would come back and say, you know what? That was wrong. I was wrong. I need to take accountability for this. I need to take accountability for that. But no, she's still living in her ego. And that was very obvious. And we got to bring up another thing, because I'm going to make this connection to Naomi Campbell, because see, I wasn't born yesterday. Tyra Banks, when she became a model, she was very young. She was a teenager, which is fairly common in the modeling industry. At least it was back then. The way she tells it, she got on a plane, went off to Europe to start modeling by herself, you know, left her mom, you know, in the US. She said it was the first time she left the country. Now, Now that we are more into the Epstein stuff, we know the modeling industry also implicated in the trafficking. And I often wonder, what did Tyra see? What did Tyra see to the point where she was willing to allow someone to be recorded while they're sexually assaulted and not stop that, not stop production? She had authority to do so. What did Tyra see that made her think it was okay to tell Kenya that she just got to figure out how to deal with it when a guy was touching her inappropriately and she said, "Stop shooting. He is touching me inappropriately"? What else was Kenya supposed to do? Because I don't hear too much about her and what she may have seen during that time. Because we know what Naomi Campbell saw. And we know Naomi Campbell was very close to Jeffrey Epstein. As much as she tries to play that down, Naomi Campbell knew Jeffrey Epstein going all the way back to 2001. In fact, a couple of months ago, I covered this. Whitney Webb had an article where she was talking about how Naomi Campbell is the woman who connects Epstein to Diddy. And I want to show you this part here because this is where we showed some of those pictures so you can see who Naomi Campbell was hanging out with. Listen to this. Naomi Campbell is the woman who connects Epstein and Diddy. This part is really interesting. Here we go. Photos from the occasion where Naomi Campbell claims to have first met Epstein. Her 31st birthday party hosted by Flavio's yacht. Now this shows Naomi and Epstein associates in the same photograph. Those photographs are now rather infamous as they also showed Epstein's most prominent accuser, an underage Virginia Giuffre. Let's look at these pictures real quick. So there's Virginia Giuffre right there with, that's Prince Andrew. There's Ghislaine Maxwell. Look at the second picture. There's Ghislaine Maxwell. There's Naomi Campbell over here. I hope you guys can follow my cursor so you can see it. And then in this picture over here on the right, there's Virginia Giuffre. And then here's Virginia Giuffre right here. And there's Naomi Campbell right there. Look at the bottom right-hand corner here where her face is circled. This is Virginia Giuffre. And there's Naomi Campbell. I need you guys to answer a question for me because this really stood out to me. Over here in this picture, you got all these adults with a child. And Naomi Campbell is right there. Now, when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, Naomi Campbell tried to say, "Oh, I didn't really, have contact with them, anymore. I don't know about this." And it wasn't that type of relationship. But that wasn't the case. What we found out later is that even after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, Naomi Campbell and her team were asking for his address information at the prison so they can find a way to contact him. She was still trying to contact him. She needs to be looked into more. Because here's what I believe. I believe Naomi Campbell, if she didn't allegedly participate in the trafficking, I believe she knew. She knew him too damn long for that to go on. Him and Ghislaine Maxwell. She's the missing link. We know that Jeffrey Epstein was deep in the modeling industry. We know that Jeffrey Epstein was harassing some of the Victoria's Secret models. We know they complained to Les Wexner about that back in the day. And when you think about where they could have gotten some of these girls from, well, the whole modeling industry, it makes a lot of sense. And I want to bring up another thing because people forget about this. Let's all remember that Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, was also a teen model with the Casablancas group. So I want to know, what did Tyra Banks see when she was modeling back in those days? And she talks about her experience of going on to these go-sees and all that type of stuff. And some people didn't want to work with her and all that. What about all the other stuff, Tyra? What about all the other stuff that was happening to those models, those teenage girls at that time? Because what really bothered me, the fact that she was not willing to even say, when it came to the sexual assault, she wasn't willing to say that should have never been filmed, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Shandi even said Tyra went on to embarrass her later on after the fact by bringing Shandi onto her talk show. Tyra had a talk show too. And putting it up on the screen and saying, how did you feel about that? In front of an audience of people. So I really feel, especially after reading a lot of these articles by Whitney Webb, I really feel the modeling industry was a pipeline. And I'm curious to see what Tyra saw and what she knew. Because I don't care if it was a different time back in 2003, which it wasn't that much of a different time. The big difference was we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have TikTok. You know, that was a big difference. So yeah, a lot of these things, you couldn't put it on social media. But it is also 2026 now when you're speaking about it now, when you're still not willing to take any accountability. So after all these years, when these other girls have come forward, you know, we all kind of been sitting back like, why isn't Tyra saying anything? They came forward and told some scary truths about what she did and what she let happen. And so sometimes, you know, sometimes they come back. And so she finally comes back in this docuseries and won't take accountability. So what does Tyra know? Because I think that, let me pull this down here. I think that this whole trafficking thing, I mean, it made perfect sense if you look back on it, because a lot of those girls that were modeling, you know, they kind of got an age limit with that, at least back in those days. A lot of those girls that were just starting out were in their teens. So it makes you wonder. And how is it that Naomi Campbell don't have to testify? She's all up in these pictures. Something to think about. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Arcane said as young as 13. Yes. I think Brooke Shields was what, 14 when she, or 13 or 14 when she started modeling. So it goes way back. And some people were telling me, you know, early on, they said, oh, I don't like that people are going after Tyra. We're not playing no favorites over here. I was like, no, we are not. Aaron said, I feel for women, man. Now they have these beautiful queens thinking they need Botox and diaper butt implants. Diaper butt. Thank you for the super chat, Weremy. Tyra was an executive producer. She set the direction. People who speak up in our society are always vilified at work, church, social media, or reality TV. Thank you, Roger. Tyra, a woman who comes from a community whose thumbs down skinny, thumbs up for curves, should have known better. The dominant society pushes their beliefs of beauty on us. Yes, they do. Thank you for the super sticker, the unsubscribed queen. Thank you, Measured Man. Look up Grace Jones. She told us plenty of times as well. And if you look up how bad they talked about her in the Epstein files. Interesting. And Measured Man said, yes, she did an interview with Diddy right before his court date. See, let's get the Rumble rant. Thank you. All right. Thank you for the tip, Mark. I don't get it, Sab. Tyra Banks was always voluptuous as hell. She was never skinny. Well, she was still, she was still skinny. I mean, she had, you know, boobs, but she was still skinny. Some of these people look even smaller in person. You'd be surprised. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.